Hello, my name is Mary Rednauer. This is my presentation on the ethics in instructional design um, with a focus on the biblical worldview of those ethics. So some ethical issues in instructional design. Now there are many, but there are three main ethical issues that come up that are kind of the umbrella that a lot of other ones fall under. The first one is the digital copyright infringement. So what that means is that can really be anything when you're using somebody else's work without the proper agreement for your own benefit. So downloading music or movies without proper payment, recording movies in a movie theater, using photos and blogs that may not be photos that you have taken, that maybe you found on another site that you are not citing appropriately, or for photos used in blogs or for other money-making endeavors. And like previously mentioned, or copying other personal work without an agreement. There should always be an agreement with whatever you are using for your personal gain, whether that is to make money or to use in a classroom. The second thing is the violation of private online information. So this includes all things that are tangible and intangible that a private individual or entity owns. So this can be tangible, meaning something that you can hold. So it could be something like clothing. It can be something as big as a house. That would be private online information. So some of the intangible things might be social security numbers, a creation that you made online that somebody else is using, that you spent your time to create, but they are using for their personal gain. So this includes all tangible and intangible things that a private individual or entity owns, and over which the owners have absolute property rights. So that means if somebody else owns it, that you need to give that individual the proper recognition that they are the owners and that you are simply using their creations. So the third kind of umbrella ethical issue in instructional design is the inappropriate use of instructional technology. So this is where educators should focus on using sites that are familiar. They should encourage students to only use reputable and familiar sites also, not to click on anything that may pop up, anything like that. Now, things that lead to ethical issues in instructional design. This can be time, apathy, ignorance, or just forgetfulness. So for time is of the essence with educators. Educators do not have the time, especially these days, to learn the correct way to cite others' work. So this kind of might fall under the same guidelines as ignorance. They don't have the time to create something, so they use other people's work, and then they might not know how that they have to cite the work if it's not theirs. Again, apathy. Some might not have any interest to learn how to cite others' work correctly. And lastly, forgetfulness. Sometimes, again, teachers are very quick to create things for the need of the students, and that is fantastic, because in instructional design you have to think of every learner's learning style and trying to reach that individual. that they might find something that they think that would work with that student, and they might not cite it properly because they just forget. So why are ethical dilemmas happening in instructional design? The rate of the development and the use of learning technology is incredible, and this speed may even cause some unhealthy competitiveness within the field, thus resulting in unethical practices such as personal gain. And that is from Rayner and Dempsey. So in education is an extremely competitive field. Even though we are all striving toward helping individual students learn and construct instructional design to help those students reach those academic goals, there is a lot of competitiveness between other teachers and getting those students to those goals and creating better lessons, more interactive, more meaningful experiences for the students. And then it's also competitive to share and collaborate with others. But if we are sharing creations that are not our own, and we the original users are not citing things correctly and giving credit where credit is due, and then we share that with somebody else, then that person has an ethical dilemma also for using an item that was not cited correctly. Having a biblical worldview with ethical instructional design. So having a biblical worldview is extremely important, and it's even more important when we think about things ethically. So we are called to follow rules, to follow guidelines, to be ethical human beings. And educators search for personal gain by thinking of how others might feel if unethical actions were acted towards the fruit of their creations for their own personal benefit. Now this gets me thinking about the golden rule. So do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That's kind of the golden rule. So if you are using somebody else's work that they spent hours of their time creating, and you do not give them credit, then if somebody was to do that to you, you would feel as though they are stealing from you, which is one of the 10 Commandments, that we shall not steal. And so when we are using somebody else's work without citing it or giving credit where credit is due, we are basically stealing their creative work. So Luke 6:31, chapter 6, verse 31, it says, "As you wish that others would do to you, do so to them," which is again the golden rule. It's also mentioned in the Bible in Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. "So whatever you wish that others would do to you, also do to them, for this is the law of the prophets." Again, this is something that we are called to do by Jesus Christ. We are called to treat others the way that we would like to be treated, to give credit where credit is due. And here are my references, and I hope that you enjoyed the presentation.